Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Vijay Patel, and I'm your 1099 tax coach. In today's video, we're going to cover the filing deadlines for Form 1099 NEC, as well as for Form 1099 miscellaneous, and we'll also review the penalties for late filing or not filing these forms. Let's take a look at Form 1099 NEC. Now, for this form, the deadline to get these forms e-filed or paper filed with the IRS is January 31st. If you are paper filing it, you have to get it postmarked by January 31st. If you are e-filing, obviously IRS needs to have your e-file before the end of day on January 31st. The deadline to get these forms out to the recipient also January 31st, meaning the recipients have to have it either electronically have to have it by January 31st, or if you're mailing them, it has to be postmarked by January 31st. For Form 1099 miscellaneous, the deadlines are a little bit different compared to Form 1099 NEC, and there are a few different deadlines. As far as the deadline goes to get it out to the recipient, remains the same. The recipients have to have it by January 31st if you're providing them electronically, or if you're mailing them, then the forms have to be postmarked by January 31st. Now, getting the Form 1099 miscellaneous to the IRS, those deadlines are different. There are two different sets of deadlines. One is if you're e-filing it, and if you're e-filing it, you have to make sure that the IRS gets these forms by the end of day on March 31st. If you are paper filing it, you have you have to make these forms postmarked by March 28th. Um, there are there are companies that are mandated to e-file Form 1099 NEC and 1099 miscellaneous, and whether or not your entity is mandated to e-file this form depends on how many information return your company files with the IRS. If the number of information returns filed exceeds is 10 or more, then you are required to e-file both Form 1099 NEC and 1099 miscellaneous. Informational form covers all different kind of Form 1099s, as well as Form W2s, W2G, and a few other kind of forms. Of all of those returned combined is 10 or more, then your company has to e-file these 1099 forms with the IRS. You cannot paper file this. So as you can see, especially with the Form 1099 NEC, the deadline to get these filed with the IRS and as well as to provide a copy to the recipient is very quick. Once the tax year ends, which is usually December 31st for most small businesses, you have essentially a month to prepare the forms, get them e-filed, and get them out to the recipient. So it's very important for you to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. You got all the W-9s on file, your accounting is properly done, so you know exactly how much payment you made to each contractor or consultant, so you can then give them accurate Form 1099 NEC. And same thing with 1099 miscellaneous, because these have to be provided to the recipient by January 31st. So you have to have everything done and sorted by that date to be able to meet that deadline. So that's the deadline. Now, as far as not filing the form goes or late filing the form goes, let's take a look at these penalties. And as you can see, these penalties are steep and they can stack up very quickly. For any of these forms, if you are 1 to 30 days late, the penalty is $60 per form. So if you have to file 10 forms and if you're late, the penalty will be 10 times 60 or $600. If you are if you are 31 days late, but you file it by August 1st, then the penalty is $130 per form. Again, if you had to file 10 forms, and if you were late, but you still file within that deadline, your penalty will be $1,300. If you file after August 1st, or if you did not file the form for whatever reason, the deadline, I'm sorry, the penalty is $340 per form. So these can be very steep. And for intentional disregard, meaning you knew you had to file, but you just didn't file it, then those penalties are extremely, extremely steep. It's $680, and there is no per $680 per form, and there is no cap on how much penalty your business can accrue. The first three penalties does have a cap. Again, those caps are still in more than $1 million, so they are very steep. So you don't want to play around with that, and you want to make sure that if your business has to file Form 1099 NEC or miscellaneous or any other kind of forms, 1099 for that matter, you want to make sure that you get this filed with the IRS. And you also want to make sure that you give a copy to the recipient so your compliance is done and then you are not subject to any of this kind of penalty. So I hope that drive homes the point for you that I'm trying to make is that you want to stay on top of this deadline and you want to make sure you get them filed so you don't have to pay any kind of penalty. And also, if you like this video, make sure you give it a like and also subscribe to my channel so that you keep getting all the future videos in your YouTube feed. And if you know someone who could benefit from these videos, make sure you forward this to them so they can also take advantage of this education. If you have any further questions, you have my email address on your screen. You can reach out to me via email, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. That's it for today, and until next time, take care. Bye bye.